I just got back from a family reunion in LA, and it was the recharge that I needed in a world that seems to be extra stressful, to put it lightly. And I began to wonder where this pastime originated from. And like most things in the United States, I found that family reunions manifested from the Black experience. If, a family is separated either by choice or through circumstances not of their making, then what happens to their concept of family? The family structure is distorted by the new environment to survive and redefine what family means. This is what many families suffering in slavery endured throughout America's short, very short history. But this brought me to question, how have African American communities remained resilient and continue to rise after 1865? I believe this should be credited to the African American community and the desire to reunite with loved ones. This is Historically Messy, and my name's Leah, and I'm here to shine a light on history that was ignored in history books and connects the past to our today. Before the Civil War, families were torn apart, not just out of cruelty, but also by design. An individual separated from their culture and community is weaker when isolated. Once African Americans gained their autonomy, they posted ads in newspapers and spread the word, throughout their community, seeking out their family members. This explains why many formerly enslaved people retained foreign last names like Smith or Jefferson to easily identify themselves and relatives post Civil War. Not everyone chose to keep the names of those who acted with such barbarity. New surnames were chosen from variations of a known ancestor. Here's an excerpt from Martin Jackson from 1937. All the slaves that was going to take the name Fitzpatrick. I made up my mind I'd find me a different one. One of my grandfathers in Africa was called Jaco, and so I decided to be Jackson. This could explain why family t-shirts are typical at African American gatherings. Also, it helps when you have multiple families meeting at the same park. You know who your people are, and they're the ones wearing the same shirt as you, obviously. Reunions were held at churches, homes, or cemeteries, and always consisted of meals large enough to share with everyone. Traditional food brought to reunions consisted of macaroni and cheese, which was brought to the United States and perfected by James Hemings. Grilled meats like burgers, brats, and ribs. There were popular sides like potato salad, deviled eggs, and baked beans. These are some of the foods that are synonymous with the United States and common at family cookouts. I actually had the best baked beans at this past family reunion, and I'm not sure who made them, but what I do know is I need the family recipe. Reunions created a sense of unity and allowed family dynamics to be redefined without the destructive and imposing practices of chattel slavery. During the Second Great Migration, families left southern states in the 1910s up until the 1970s in an effort to escape oppressive Jim Crow laws and segregation. People, like my great grandfather, Herman Douglas, who moved with his family to Los Angeles from rural Louisiana. This created a greater need for families to reconnect after new lives were built in more prosperous spaces across the country. Places like Chicago, Philadelphia, Denver, and Los Angeles. This reunion, we had family present from Louisiana, Texas, Arizona, Georgia, and Oregon, all meeting in California. Today's reunions continue to bring families together from across the country and for reasons rooted in joy, not survival. During the 1970s, the Roots series sparked many people's interest in their ancestry. This has since become a pastime activity for families and an opportunity to share ancestral lineage and understand the decisions made by past generations. Stories are shared about how nicknames came to be, and we take time to reminisce about our family members who unfortunately have passed away and are deeply missed. There's a strong sense of community and strength that you feel when you have your kin in your corner, a security and comfort that money can't buy. This is what has fed the soul, I think, for so many generations. It's more than just delicious food that is quintessentially American. It's the joy and laughter that uplifts the spirit and reminds one when you're with family, you're never alone. There's always the camaraderie of playing spades with your or dominoes with your cousins and doing the Cupid line dance while wearing your, of course, matching family shirt. This is what goes on at a typical reunion, and it's these traditions that originate from our ancestors. Everyone wants to feel a sense of homecoming, filled with comforting food and the love of those who share your lineage. Maybe this summer you've spent time with family you don't always get to see. When you gather, specific recipes are replicated and stories about the past are repeated. What's known is that our sense of self is strengthened when you know where you came from and honor the people who came before you. That's all for this week's episode of Historically Messy. And if you want more history content, consider following the show for free, of course, so you can also be notified of new episodes. Thank you for listening or watching from wherever you are, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.